Most of us have started a D&D campaign in a tavern, but what if that tavern could be more than just a starting point? What if that tavern was completely fleshed out, with tons of wonderful NPCs with full lives that you could explore, or even a menu full of wonderful foods that are just more than, the soup of the day? What if that tavern had plenty of games and even a lottery system, and many rumors and quests that you could explore no matter what level you were? What if there was a carnival outside that tavern that had even more entertainment, even more NPCs, even more games and merchants you could explore, and a ton of owlbears? Well, if you want to explore a world like that, a tavern like that, you need to check out Tavern Tales by Escape Plan Games. I was lucky enough to be given a review copy, and I truly think this is a fantastic supplement for your D&D game, or even not for even if you're running like a different system. Just the ideas and the stories and the NPCs in this book are worth getting. So let's break it down. Let's talk about it. So the first thing that I really like about this book is the structure. When you first open Tavern Tales, you're going to get a guide on what the icons throughout this book mean. And honestly, I so wish that other tabletop books had this type of guide. It really, in the beginning, in one of the first pages, it's like, okay, if you see this eyeball, this means this what means this. And it makes this entire book very uniform, but it also makes it easier for the person running a quest or the tavern from Tavern Tales. It makes it easier for them to really figure out what you're supposed to read out loud, what type of checks you're going to be making here, what the feel of that moment is going to be. And honestly, like I said, starting off very strong, and I really think what Tavern Tales does here is like something that most other tabletop games should be doing. How this book is structured is really well done. If you're going to be using this book to run in an adventure, or even use some of the player options, which, spoiler, there's player options in here, you're going to have a really easy time using this, which, again, very important. Now let's talk about the actual content, and that is going to be the tavern itself. And this book focuses on one tavern, and that is a Trip Away Inn, which is a really good name for an inn. I'm really bad at naming inns. I usually just use randomly generated tavern names, which give me things like the Silver Tuna Inn. Not great, but a Trip Away Inn is a really good name for a tavern, so already, boom. So in this book, we get some really great descriptors of a Trip Away Inn, how it's located between a bunch of different cities, between two mountains. I think the location is great, but I also think how they deal with a Trip Away Inn, it can also be placed really anywhere in your games. So that's a plus in my opinion. But yeah, we get these really easy descriptors of a Trip Away Inn. It is kind of carnival themed. It has really nice descriptions of how it smells, how it looks, just the feel of it, which is great. It also has some really nice illustrated maps of the tavern itself, so you're gonna really be able to tell your players where everything is. And when I say they describe each room very in depth, they really do. You want to know what's in the kitchen? Well, here's like 2 or 3 paragraphs on exactly what is happening in the kitchen. So yeah, the Trip Away Inn as a building is really great, but what really makes this tavern special is its inhabitants. There are so many NPCs in this book that have like whole page backstories, and along with those backstories, motivations and ways to have your players interact with them and get quests from it. Like I said, this book is very accessible and really helpful to the DM, because if your players are interacting with, let's say my favorite NPC from this book, Esteban, a dragonborn cook. Don't let him be by cake. Fantastic NPC here. Absolutely love him. You are going to know what type of quest hooks to really hook into your players, what type of things to say. Along with that, each of these NPCs do have a stat block, and in those stat blocks, they have unique character abilities. So each NPC is going to feel really unique and really different. A thing that I really like about this book is how they really took the collaborative aspects of creating a D&D supplement and asked a bunch of different writers with all different perspectives, all different worldviews, and allow them to make their own NPCs and quests and different things within this book. So you'll get a feel for one NPC, and then you'll flip the page and you'll find an NPC written by someone completely different, and this NPC will feel completely different and completely great in all different ways. And I just use different a lot there, but it's great. So yeah, we already have a great tavern design. We already have NPCs that are fantastic in here. They're going to really help flesh out your game. It's going to make your game feel alive. So let's now talk about some things that your players can interact within this tavern that isn't just the NPCs, and that is going to be the menu, which there is a fully fleshed out menu. So if your players, like my players, like to come in and be like, what's the special of the day, or what type of special drinks do you have there, boom, you have all that information, which as a dungeon master is really, really nice. I can't tell you how many times my players have gone in somewhere and have asked very specific questions, and I'm like, I don't know, you tell me. But you're going to have those answers there. Along with that, there are a ton of games that you can play within a AAA inn, and this is actually one of my favorite parts of the book, because as someone who likes to run mini games in their D&D game, likes to run kind of like carnival challenges, all that kind of stuff, having a book straight up give me the rules and mechanics for, let's say, a drinking game or a strength contest or like darts and stuff is very, very nice. Usually I'm kind of having to make up those rules as I go. Now, even if my players aren't in a AAA inn and are somewhere else and they're playing these mini games, I can now have these rules for really wherever they are, and it's great. I really think there are a lot of things in this book that you can just pull from and put into your own game. Really, so it's really just more than a book about this single tavern. It's a book with a lot of rules that can really help make any tavern feel fleshed out. I also already touched on the rumors a bit, but there are 14 quests in this book alone, all originating from this tavern or the circus that comes, which there is a circus carnival that appears outside the tavern. It's like adding this entire whole thing to this book already. That's great. The carnival has like equally as much flavor, equally as much things to do and merchants and stuff as the tavern itself. But like I said, this book has 14 different quests, all originating from this tavern, from this location, the NPCs. So when you're trying to seed a quest or a rumor into your party to kind of, push them along the way, it's kind of hard as a dungeon master sometimes to be like, hey, players, here are all the things you can do. Well, this book really helps you do that by giving you all these rumors. Along with that, they all vary in levels. So if you have a high level party, you're going to be able to find something you like here. Along with that, if you have a very new party, you're going to also find something fun here. You really have a variety, and you really have a lot of choices. And that's a big thing about this book, is how many choices you have. It's not just, here's a tavern, this is what you can do. It's, here's the tavern, this is how it can help fill your world. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the character options, because of course this book has character options. And not only is this a great book for you as a dungeon master, but your players are also going to have some things that they can pull from it. There are a couple backgrounds. Some of my favorite backgrounds from this book are the acrobat and the clown. Why haven't we had a clown background yet? Who knows, but we have one now, and it's great. Along with that, we have 2 new player subclasses. We have a very specific ranger subclass that's all about taming owl bears, which, I mean, do I have to say more? That's super wonderful. I mean, who doesn't want to have an owl bear companion? And then there is a warlock subclass that deals with like this ink monster, this ink creature using ink magic, which is something that I find really cool, and I think is a very interesting style of warlock. It's very thematically different from so many of them, and I think if you really want to play a warlock who has something kind of new going on, like this is going to be the perfect subclass for you. If you want to check out Tavern Tales and get your own copy, you can head over to Endgame Plan's website, which is eplangames.com, and there you can get your own copy, which, like I said, I think this book is really wonderful. I think it's a great collection. So yeah, go check out Tavern Tales. Oh, I also should note, at the end of the year, this is only volume 1, so there's a big possibility that we're going to be getting more books on more taverns, which I will happily take. I am very excited to see what they come up with. I think this creative team is really great. What they made is really great, and if you couldn't tell, I really like this. So yeah, go check out Tavern Tales. I really don't think you'll regret it, and your players are going to have a blast with it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time. Be excellent to each other.